All right, it's loading up. And we're live on YouTube for the first time. On today's episode, we're talking basketball and we're answering the internet. So I came up with a few different categories for basketball. We're going to do at least top three and sometimes up to top five shooters, dribblers, rebounders, clutch players, best defenders, best coaches, best passers, and best all time teams. So we'll start at the top with best shooters. I had on my list Ray Allen, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Reggie Miller, and Larry Bird. So we're going to go through them one by one. Obviously, Ray Allen, he had some of the most clutch shots. He saved the championship for the Heat against the Spurs with a corner three to end the game. Saved LeBron in that. And he's just one of the most all-time consistent shooters, very reliable, can move without the ball. And that's why I put Ray Allen on the list. And then one of the most exciting players in recent memory, probably of all time, Steph Curry, really just changed the game with taking 40-foot shots, and he's the reason players like Trey Young can just pull up from 40, and it almost seems normal now the way the game has changed. And we'll see him again on our best dribbles list. So that's Stephen Curry, Stephen Wardell Curry to be exact. And the next one on our list we have Klay Thompson. I always thought Klay was just an awesome like spot up shooter. He can move without the ball. He doesn't dribble as well as Steph, but I think he's a more consistent shooter from a standing position. And he beat Steph in the 3-point contest. So those, and for many reasons, we have Klay on the list. The next one we have Reggie Miller. I hate to put him on the list as a Knicks fan because he's a Knicks killer, but Reggie Miller is one of the best all-time shooters, and he led those Pacer teams deep into the playoffs. I don't know if they ever won, but they probably did. I just my basketball knowledge is blanking right now. I don't know if the Reggie Miller Pacer teams ever won, but Reggie Miller, one of the best shooters of all time. And next we have one of my personal favorites, even though I'm a New York guy, Larry Bird. I think everyone loves Larry Bird, and they love him for his shooting and his hardworking, intense performances, and just his hard hat work ethic. And that's why we have Larry Bird on the list. Next, and by the way, on this list, it wasn't as much in the last category, but I was born in '96, so my views are skewed to more recent players rather than players from like all time. So the next on the list, we have the best dribblers, and that's started off with Allen Iverson. We saw him early in his career cross up Jordan, and ever since then, he's always just been crossing people up. And he's the answer. He's the reason the league kind of changed into a guards league, I think, starting with him and players like him and Steve Nash. And yeah, so we have Allen Iverson. The next repeat offender, Stephen Curry. I think he's one of the best dribblers of all time. He changed the game with like even just in his warm-ups. We saw him dribble with two balls at one time and really just put on a show in the warm-ups. That's why I have Stephen Curry next on our list. And the next might be a surprise pick for some, but I put Jamal Crawford. I think he's a phenomenal dribbler, and that's why I put him on the list. He really can cross people up. He's really lanky, so he's like a deceptively, I would say, good dribbler because he can really just get by people with ease. And I, as a Knicks fan, I love the fact that I got to put Jamal Crawford on this list because he really impressed me. And he, remember the one time he threw. It's not dribbling, but he threw a game-winning pass to David Lee for the tip-in off the inbound, and I thought that was just amazing. And also, he threw it up to himself a few times, getting past people, and did the dinner insert where he alley-ooped to himself. So I always thought that was really impressive. The next one on the list, Chris Paul. He plays for a bunch of different teams, but he's always an excellent point guard, and the reason so many teams want him and get so much playing time because he can get by people, and he's also a great passer as well. And the next one of the most exciting dynamic players in the league right now, even though he's hurt and the league isn't going on anyway, so he's got some time to recover, is Brooklyn Net Kyrie Irving. He's been on 3 different teams, Cavs, the Celtics, and now the Nets. But on each team, he's just really impressed people. And I would just love to see him play in that those baggy jerseys with the Coogee print. And he's really exciting no matter what jersey he plays in, and with his ability to get by people and score. So next, rebounders. As far as I'm concerned, even though I'm a younger kid, it's only one person that belongs in this category, and that's Dennis Rodman. I could also throw in probably like Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, guys like that. But for me, it's Dennis Rodman, just because of his personality, his eccentricness, and I think he was just tenacious, and that's why I gave him the credit as the hardest working rebounder. So next on our list, we have best defenders. I put two people down. I should put three, but we'll improvise. So I have Gary Payton and Kawhi. So started off with Gary Payton, the glove. Um, just an awesome defender. Like for the longest time in the league, he just locked everyone down. He was a surefire lockdown. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Everyone knew him for those '90s years, where he would just straight up lock everybody down. He was guarding the best player on the floor every night. And now, as far as I'm concerned, the best two-way player in the league, Kawhi Leonard. He's straight up just locks people down, just like Gary. Like he's getting defended by the best guy on your team, and he's defending the best guy on your team. So that's why he's really impressive. That's why he's the best two-way player, and can't really get past Kawhi. And next, I'll throw a shout out to my boy Frank Ntilikina because he's a defensive specialist. I don't know, he's top 3 defenders all time, but I have his jersey, so I had to give him a shout out. Frank Ntilikina. Knicks, don't trade him. Next, we have our 3 best coaches. I went with Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, and Steve Kerr. You can make an argument that each of these guys coached some of the best 3 teams ever, with the Warriors, the Lakers, and the Bulls, 95-96 Bulls. Pat Riley on the Lakers, and Steve Kerr with the most recent Warriors team with Durant, Clay, and Steph. So yeah, Phil Jackson, 95-96 Bulls, pretty self-explanatory. It's triangle offense, recreated the game with his different offensive schemes. Pat Riley, Showtime Magic, all that. He started off as an announcer the same way Steve Kerr did, actually. They both started off as broadcasters, but they both created some of the best teams ever. And it's just player management, being players, coaches, and they're just the best in the world, best 3 coaches. And next we have our best passers. We have LeBron, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, and Manu Ginobili. To me, LeBron, people forget that LeBron's such a good passer, but that's one of the biggest parts of his game. His ability to pass, his ability to see the floor, and his ability to get teammates open. He's such a good passer that he almost hurts his teammates because he turns them into 3-point shooters. And yeah, so we have LeBron, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, and Manu Ginobili. So next on the list we have Steve Nash. He was also a great shooter, but I think he's probably top 10, top 15 point guards all time, and that's mainly because of his passing and dribbling ability. He really changed some of those Suns teams, and when he was in the Lakers, his passing highlights are just really special. So next we have Jason Kidd, another one of the probably top 15 ever best point guards, I would say. His ability to see the floor, even though he was a shorter guy like Nash, just thought it was really impressive. And yeah, that's why he's on the list. And next we have Manu Ginobili. I think people sleep on his passing ability, but every list I checked when I was doing my research had Manu somewhere on there, so I had to include him. He's one of those, one of the ones people kind of forget about on those Spurs teams, but I think he's the reason they won so much. And next we have the best teams of all time. I don't know if I can choose, because some of these teams are so closely matched. But we have the Birds 86 Celtics, the 72 Lakers, Jordan's 95-96 Bulls, and Steph's 2018 Warriors. So let's go through it one by one. The 86 Celtics. Let me pull up their roster. So they had Larry Bird, I know, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, 86 Celtics roster. Okay, let's see. We have Dennis Johnson, Greg Kite, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge, Larry Bird, Rick Carlisle, Greg Kite, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Jerry Stitching, and some of the scrubs here, David Thurl, Third Kill, Sam Vincent, and then we have Bill Walton, Scott Weidman, and Slab Williams. So when you have Bill Walton as your backup, that's when you kind of know, like, that's a really special team, because Bill Walton, people forget, he won an MVP with the Blazers. So that's the roster for the 86 Celtics. We'll come back to them. Next, we have the 72 Lakers. Sorry, hear the typing in the background. Ooh, yeah, this is a stack team. All right, so we have Elgin Baylor, Will Chamberlain, Jim Clemens, Leroy Ellis, Keith Erickson, Gail Goodrich, Happy Harrison, Jim Millen, Pat Riley. Oh, Pat Riley. That's cool. Glenn Robinson, John Trapp, and Jerry West. So when you have Jerry West, Wilt, and Elgin Baylor on the same team, those might be the best three-person team ever. So that's definitely why they're on the list. And shout out to my dad, by the way, for all these questions. We didn't get questions from anyone else, but that's okay. You guys still have time to send them in for next Friday. And if you guys don't send any in, we're going to be talking about basketball and 70s rock every week because all the questions will be from my dad. So send your questions in. I have a link, and any way you can contact me, just send your questions in. We don't have, it doesn't have to be just about sports or just about basketball. We can talk about anything you guys want. So back to the 72 Lakers. Yeah, maybe the best three-man team ever with Wilt, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor. So now we go to the roster, and I think this might be my pick to win. The 95 Bulls roster. Here we go. So Rodman, Pippen, and Jordan could give Baylor, West, and Wilt a run for their money. All right, I'm just pulling up the Bulls roster here. Okay, so we have Randy Brown, Judd Bueller, Jason Caffrey, James Edward, Jack Haley, Ron Harper, Michael Jordan, Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, John Staley, Dickie Simpkins, and Bill Wellington. So obviously, I think they won 6 championships in total. So that's really impressive just right off the bat. Jordan, I think, is other than Bill Russell, correct me if I'm wrong, he has the most championships for any single player. So that was really impressive. And I think the Bulls are going to be my pick to win. And maybe I think these teams are easily matched. I'm just going to pick a winner. I'm not going to rank them. And the next one is obviously the 2018 Warriors. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. Let's see who else we have. (2018) Warriors. Once again, sorry for the typing. Patrick McCaw, Chris Boucher, Kevin Looney, Nick Young, Kendrick Nunn, Kevin Durant, Draymond. How did I forget Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Sean Livingston, Zaza Pachulia, Steph Curry, Omar Caspi, Klay Thompson, and Jacob Evans. So right there, I think you really give the Bulls a run for their money with Durant, Steph, and Klay. But I really like to see prime to prime, a 3-on-3 between Robin, Pippen, and Jordan versus KD, Steph, and Klay. I think that would be really, really interesting to watch. But overall, I'm going to have to go with the 95-96 Bulls for the best team of all time. And that wraps up our basketball segment, and we're moving on to the Answer the Internet, which is the card game from KFC Radio, who are obviously work for Barstool Sports, KFC, Kevin Clancy, and John Fogelberg. So all credit to them. Please credit them for all these questions. So there's 3 different categories. There's Poll the Internet, Debate the Internet, and Answer the Internet. So the first one, Poll the Internet. The question is, you have the option of pressing 2 buttons, and you can only press one. Button A is you instantly get $1 million, and button B, you have a 50-50 chance of getting $100 million. So you guys know me. If you know me, I'm broke. So I would go with option A and take the automatic million. But obviously, it's really tempting to have a 50% chance of getting $100 million. But I just need that guarantee. Knowing my luck, I'd miss out and get nothing if I chose option B. So I'm going to choose option A for the automatic million. The next one is debate the internet. And the question is, if you were continuously getting attacked by eagles one at a time, how many would you kill before they got to you? All right, this is a really interesting question. One-on-one against an eagle, I'm tempted to say 2, but I'm going to keep it honest and just say 1. I think all my power, I can take down 1 eagle because of the talons and everything. And if they were continuously attacking me one after the other, I think I can get past 1, and then the second one would take me out pretty easily because I'd be hurt from the first one. So I think I was really honest with that one. I'm not trying to brag here, but I think I could take down 1 eagle before they got to me. The last one, answer the internet. is the categories. The question is, would you rather be the most attractive person in the world but blind, the best singer in the world but deaf, or the best chef in the world but have no sense of taste? And I would go with being the most attractive person in the world but blind, because you wouldn't have a problem finding a spouse or anything. And I think the benefits that come with being the most attractive person in the world outweigh the benefits of being the best chef or the best singer. And they also outweigh the benefits of being blind. So that's my take there. So we have go through the answers. I would instantly get $1 million instead of a 50-50 chance of getting $100 million. I would take down one eagle before they killed me, and I would be the most attraction person in the world but blind, if I'm not already. So that was that. That was our first live stream and our first episode of Q&A Fridays. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Check it out on YouTube. I'll have the link up. Leave a comment, leave a review of your questions for next week, or leave me a voice message. I also have that link. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and we will see you next week on Friday.